Hi, I'm Yuri and welcome in our bioecological passive house. Today I'm going to give you a tour through the house and I'm going to talk about the principles and our experiences of living in a passive house, and I hope you'll get inspired. We decided to build a passive house because we really like the concepts of passive house building. It's a very energy friendly way of building with a lot of insulation, very low need of energy to heat the house and so on. And on the other side, it is a very comfortable way of living. The basics of building a passive house, there are more or less four principles. The first one, it's quite difficult to see it from the inside, but it is that you need to build a compact house. Our house is more or less a form of a cubicle, which means it has a lot of volume inside, but not too many surface at the outside. So there is a little chance on losing heat. Our walls of the passive, typically of a passive house of low energy housing, is that they are very thick because of all the insulation that you need. And you lose some inside space because of that. That's a disadvantage, but the advantage is that you have a very energy friendly house. Windows need to be passive certified windows, and for the insulation you can see that the windows, they are triple glazing. They are very thick windows, so we lose very little energy through the windows. Also the door is a very heavy door. It's a typical passive house door. So that's another thing. That's also, I think, the most expensive part of a passive house. The whole house has to be completely airtight. That's also an important principle of passive house buildings. And that has a reflection on how to build walls. You can see on some pictures or on things, walls are being taped and so on to close every gap. And also it has an impact on which windows you can buy. They need to be passive house certified, which means that they are completely closed, really airtight when you close them. When building a passive house, you have to choose a specific type of cooker hood, the recirculating type, which means that you suck up the air here and blow it out on top, inside of the house. That might make you think that there would be some smells inside a house of the cooking, but we don't have that experience because you can install an odor filter, or we in fact rely on the ventilation system. So when you build a passive house which is completely airtight, of course you still need fresh air. And because of that we installed a ventilation system which is required in a passive house. So all over the house you will see vents like those, which or suck out the air or blow in fresh air. And there is a giant ventilation system installed in the attic. Well, in a passive house we rely on the sun to get heating in the winter or in spring and autumn. And of course in summer that's way too much. And it's very important to avoid overheating. So because of that we installed on all windows sun blinds like these. These are installed at the outside of the window, which is very important and are very effective in keeping out the heat. Well, in 99% of the time our house is heated by the sun, which I think for living in Belgium is quite amazing. We do have some extra heating. We need some extra heating typically in the months of November or December when there is almost no sunlight or very cloudy days. And to compensate for that loss of energy, we do have a heat pump which heats water, and that water is used by circulating through the floor in the floor heating.
Okay, so you have an electricity bill.
So yeah, that means that we do have an electricity bill. We cannot decouple from the net, of course. We also need electricity for all kinds of other stuff. We cook on electricity. We also need water, hot water to get a shower and so on, take a shower. So we still have an electricity bill, of course. But it's mainly not for heating, it's mainly for daily use or other stuff. When building this house, we also decided to build it in a bioecological way, so we used a lot of circular materials or recycled materials. For example, the main structure of the building is made of wood, which is pine that we used, which is a very common wood that can be found all over Europe. Then the insulation is cellulose, which is recycled newspapers, so they shredded newspapers and you get a very good insulation for this. We also finished the walls with a loam finish, which is a very good material to have in your house because it damps your voice or the sounds. You have almost no echoes thanks to the loam, and it's also very good in regulating the humidity inside. And we also used the idea of recircling or recycling materials in our furniture. For example, we have our table that is made out of recycled wood. We have the same for our kitchen fronts. Everything is of recycled wood. So we use that also. Some of the doors inside are recycled. We've been living here now for I think about 8 years with 5 people. We now have 3 grown-up children. And I must say the quality of living to our experience is superb. First of all, the entire house has almost everywhere almost the same temperature, so we don't have any draft at all. We never have to say to the children, please close the door and so on. So that's a really good feeling. Also, the quality of air is also excellent because of the ventilation system. So we can live throughout the entire winter with everything closed. We don't have to vent manually by opening windows, and we still have a superb, very good air quality. And the third big advantage is that we never had a sleepless night because of overheating since we live here. Because of the excellent way of avoiding the heating of the sun in the summer, and also because of a good ventilation system and to vent our sleeping rooms and to get them cool through the night again. Well, we're now a bit used to having almost all the time a temperature about 22 or 23 degrees Celsius. So I'm used to wearing a t-shirt in-house almost all the time. So I must think in advance when we go and visit other people that it might be necessary to take a pullover with me for the 20 or 21 degrees there. If we would have a chance or an opportunity to build again, I don't think we would choose for a detached house anymore because it takes a lot of space and there is a lack of space in Flanders. And also you need more walls to insulate. So in a semi-detached or in terraced housing, it's much cheaper to build in a passive way and you take less space. Another thing is, like, we were a bit forced to put a lot of technology in our house, like the heating pump and so on, and solar water boiler. While I think it can be simpler. Like, we only need 2 kilowatts of heat to heat a house once in a while in the winter, and we were a bit forced by regulations to put an entire system of heating in our house. So I think that could be cheaper or simpler. If you consider building a passive house, I would really advise you to get informed, go and talk to architects, talk to constructors that have experience with passive houses. There's a lot of information also that you can find on the internet. And also try to visit some passive houses if you find some in the neighborhood, and talk to the people and ask them about their experiences. So everybody is welcome. If you're in the neighborhood, you can just come over and talk to us.